Hello, hello, hello. Talking next. Can you hear me now? Oh, great. It's a little disappointing. I can't hear you. I just see text. Let's see here. Okay. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Make sure everybody gets here. Okay, we'll get started. So, hi everybody. My name's Tivan. I'm the co-founder of Fortified Bicycle. Thank you for joining us. So, to give you a little bit of background on my experience, we started this company in 2012. We ran a Kickstarter for a bike light that couldn't be stolen, the world's first anti-theft bike light. We did about $85,000 on that campaign. And through selling that to bike shops and retailers all over the world, we discovered that there was opportunity in bike lights to create things that were actually a lot more useful for urban commuters than was available at the time. So that prompted us to create our next Kickstarter, which did about 180,000 in 2013. And we're just finishing delivering. We've actually already delivered to all those Kickstarter customers. And then we have a current Kickstarter that's running right now. It's done just under 14K with about 45 days left for a small product. So actually, I was thinking maybe I could kind of walk you through the product so that you could tangibly see what we've done, and then I'll start answering your questions. And the ones with the most votes on them, I'll do it in order of priority for most votes going down, unless I think I can't answer it, in which case I'll just skip it. So to start, these are our lights that are currently for sale. They're called the Aviator and the Afterburner. And if you checked out our Kickstarter, we build them as bike lights that last forever. So they turn on with just the push of a button. And the key differentiator for these products, I should probably open it here, is unlike most bike lights, they're made out of lightweight aluminum, and they actually lock to your handlebars with these custom security bolts. So you need this special included tool here. Let's pop it out. So you need this special tool to actually open them. And they're also rechargeable, but unlike every other bike light on the market, so most people are, when their battery runs out, they are taking their bike light off, bringing it upstairs to their house or their apartment, plugging it up to their computer or to the wall, and then frequently forgetting it when they have to go ride again, put it on their bike. What we did is we separated the charging problem from the bike light itself. So with a special little trick, the battery comes out. And what this enables you to do is have multiple batteries, so that if your battery dies, you can just pop a new one in. So that's my little shameless plug for our company. If you bike in the city, you can send me an email at tivan@fortifiedbike.com, and I'll give you a special discount on some lights that you never have to worry about taking off. So that was in 2013. What we're currently working on right now is seat post security. We launched this about 3 weeks ago, and it's basically a simple little device that locks your seat post down, and it's got also a custom security bolt. We're basically a bolts company, masquerading around as a biking company. But it's got a nice little security bolt here, and when you lock your seat post down, and you get the upgrade bolt for the saddle, we actually back that with an anti-theft guarantee, just like with our other products. So if it ever gets stolen, we replace it. So this one is trending to do something on the order of 25 to 40K in Kickstarter revenue. Relatively small product. Cool. So let's get started on questions. So I'm going to just take a look at the votes here. So the number one voted question is by Link Gendel, and the question is, how do you plan shipping and the different shipping costs? So there's two sides to shipping. There is domestic, when you're fulfilling to customers, and there is international, which if you're manufacturing overseas, which over 90% of Kickstarter companies are probably going to be doing. So there's two sides to that. I'll start with the manufacturing, since it's earlier in the supply chain. So typically, if you're working with a manufacturer overseas, they have a freight forwarder that they use. And if they're a good enough manufacturer, they have one that will work for their clients. The key thing to make sure of, the key difference to know is just the difference between air and sea and boat. So air freight is way more expensive, but for a company that is just starting out and needs to fulfill quickly, sometimes air is a good option. So we actually air a lot of our units in when we're starting out, and then we convert to boat once we've got kind of the lines running. And then domestically, there are basically two routes you can go depending on what your volume is. So when you're first starting out, a lot of Kickstarter campaigns will do self-fulfillment. Now, if you have a few hundred or maybe even low thousands of units to ship out, that's probably manageable. But if you want to build things for scalability, you probably want to work with a warehouse that can handle this for you and that specializes in it. There are local warehouses that you can go to, and then there are also shipping solutions that are kind of built for scale and built for startups. I think ShipWire is probably the most popular one. Although recently I've heard some difficult stories about them. But I think in terms of regulating costs for that, everyone's kind of using the same thing domestically. So for small packages, it's, at least in the U.S., it's USPS for anything under, I think, 2 pounds. And then for anything over that, it's FedEx or UPS are pretty much comparable. And you get business discounts just signing up as a business. So hopefully that answered your question. If you have a follow-up question on that, just add it to the list. Next question with 4 votes is, how much time did you spend preparing for each campaign? And that's from Ellen Barcost. Good question. So this is probably a good time to talk a little bit about product development. So I think a popular misconception with Kickstarters is that you have a concept and you kind of just decide to put some marketing around it and then throw it up on Kickstarter, and if it's a good idea, it will survive. I'm sure that there is a infinitesimally small group of companies that have done that and been somewhat successful doing that. But what we aim to do is create a system that is predictably successful. So the first step to doing that is to create a product that there is pent-up demand for, that people really, really, really are begging you to make. And the cycle for figuring that out before you go to Kickstarter varies depending on the complexity of the product. So I think probably the best way to explain that is, maybe I'll just give a couple anecdotes. So our first light, which I don't have in front of me, took about 9 months to get to the stage where it was there was a prototype that we could put in front of customers on Kickstarter. And in order to get it to that stage, we went through many, many rounds of talking to urban cyclists, going out on the streets and asking people about their bike light habits, and talking to bike shops, creating prototypes with a 3D printer, going back and showing them those prototypes, figuring out what was going to work, what wasn't going to work. So that was about a 9-month process. With this product, it was a little bit shorter because we were making just a new iteration of something that we had already done a lot of research around. So the actual research phase for this was probably on the order of a few months. It was really just asking, so we already had bike shops that were selling the first product. So the questions we were asking was, okay, you're selling a couple units a month right now of this product that you have in your stores. How do you sell a couple units a day? What would we have to do? And they said, oh, easy. Make it lighter, brighter, and rechargeable. So that's exactly what we did with these products. So I think as you gain a little bit more familiarity with your market and with your product, the cycle greatly reduces. And then for this product, it was a similar thing where this product actually spun off of this. So the way that happened was so this is supposed to be an unstealable rear light, but a few of our really intelligent customers on Kickstarter said, well, what if you just take the seat post and you can take this rear light pretty easily? So we said, oh shoot, we didn't think of that. We should make some sort of upgrade for $10 or something that enables you to not be able to steal a seat. So we made that as an upgrade, and it sold so well that we started thinking that maybe it could be a product on its own. So we went and talked to bike shops, and after a month of talking to bike shops, we realized every single bike shop in the city would buy this hands down overnight. So that was enough for us to say, okay, this is probably a real product. That paired with the fact that everyone was pre-ordering this with the light. So I think the range for us has been anywhere from 9 months of product sort of customer development, talking to customers, to a matter of a few months. To answer your question more directly about how long you actually have to prepare the campaign, so that's just the first step. That's just coming up with the product. Now you can prepare the campaign a little bit in parallel. Once you have a prototype, you can film. But once you have a concept, you can start creating the story around it. So we knew kind of what the story for this was going to be. If you've watched the video, we actually had a friend call us when he was he had just gotten his bike seat stolen, and he went and found it on Craigslist, and he messaged with the guy and actually ended up setting up a time to meet the guy to buy back his seat. And of course, the guy didn't know that he was the victim of his theft. So he called me up and he said, "Hey, if you can get down here, you can videotape me confronting this guy, and I've got some detectives who agreed to come and meet us and bust him." So we discovered a story around this. This was just around the time that we'd invented this thing. So we discovered this story that was seemingly ancillary, but then we were able to kind of combine it. I think that on average for us, it takes us about a week to create the story, to storyboard it, if we're really, really focused. But usually we kind of go back and forth a little bit before we really hone in on what the true story is that we want to tell. It probably takes us about a month in total to film and to edit. But typically, because we've got so many other projects, I mean, this is protracted. But if this is your sole focus, then I think you can get it all done in a month. So add a week to a month. And then I think the most key component out of all this, once you've got the product and the story with the video, and the page, which I guess you can lump into creating the story, is the promotion of it. So a lot of companies will launch and not really have anybody willing to write about them, and then they spend the duration of their campaign begging people to write about them. But it's really, really important to gain that momentum early on, because that's really what gives the social proof and makes people comfortable pledging early on. So we usually spend at least a week reaching out to every single press relationship that we've gained over the years, or that we don't know and just think that would be interested in writing about us, and we pitch them. For this particular campaign, we went out to about so far maybe 200 contacts, and we've probably got another 300 to go out to which we'll selectively do somewhere in the middle and then close to the end of the campaign as well. So hopefully that answers your question. To be a little bit more succinct, all in all, the Kickstarter campaign creation process you can probably do over the course of 2 months, but that's after you've created the product. The product can range from anywhere from 2 months to up to a year. So. All right, the next question. Oh wow, we got some 8s in here now. Okay. So the 8 here is from Mr. David Harrison, and his question is, can you launch a successful Kickstarter campaign without any exposure or existing audience / customer or fan base? So that's a really good point. It ties a little bit into the promotion piece of the campaign, and also into the customer development phase. So with our first product, what my business partner did a great job of was building a small following before launching the campaign. So at the moment that we pressed go, we had 50 backers that were ready to buy this product. And I think that is a good fail-safe to make sure that you get that initial traction, because you can never be sure that somebody's going to write an article about you in the Globe or in TechCrunch or wherever you're interested in getting placement. But one thing that you can be a lot more sure of is that if you've put a product in front of somebody that is your core customer and is your early adopter, they're going to be ready to buy it when you have it available for them. So that's really, really important. Let me just make sure I answered your question thoroughly. Kind of disappeared. But yes, to answer, I think more succinctly, I would not launch a Kickstarter campaign without being certain that there were at least 40 people that were going to back me, whether it's friends, family, people that you met on the street immediately, because that's where Kickstarter companies go to die, is when you have your first few days without traction. So very important. To answer the next question, by Link Gendel again. This guy's popular. What are the main time-consuming activities during a Kickstarter campaign? So the most time-consuming aspect for us right now for this campaign is interfacing with customers, answering questions. I would say the second most time-consuming thing. So actually, specifically related to the Kickstarter, it would be interacting with customers. So we'll go that route first. So interacting with customers, reaching out to press, which you'd probably want to be doing night and day. But I think more generally, if it's your first product, you're going to be trying to make sure that your manufacturing is happening on time and according to plan. So that is probably the most time-consuming part, is making the product. As soon as you see that there's a need, you want to get all your ducks in a row to make sure that happens. For us, increasingly, it's getting a little bit easier because we're able to kind of keep things running as part of our larger business. We're able to start moving on this a little bit earlier than we would have if it was our first project. But yeah, so I'd say those are the three things: interacting with customers, reaching out to press on a daily basis, and then actually making the product. Next question. All right, it's a dead tie right here between Mr. G Lee and Flash for Dummies, but I like Mr. G Lee's name. Mr. J Glee, that's a good one. I like his name better, so we're gonna start with him. He says, "Hi, I have a Munich startup focused on leather bags, and I've been considering doing a Kickstarter. However, I recently decided to delay the campaign due to not enough exposure. Did you try to guarantee that you had a large enough audience?" Okay, so this is kind of in the same vein as the other question. I'll say it again. Absolutely, absolutely. If you can't generate an audience by grassroots, that should tell you something about the product. You should be able to walk around and get customers to say, "I will buy that if you put it in front of me." And if you can't, then I think you might go back to the drawing board, or at least start iterating on the product. Flash for Dummies. He says, "I'm interested in the video portion of Kickstarter campaigns. the ones I've seen look very professional, and I was wondering if you hired someone, oh, it just moved, if you hired someone to make the videos for you, or did you create them yourself? If you created them yourself, what was your process? So we do kind of a hybrid. At the moment, I'm, I guess, the chief director of our videos, which is sad to say because I have no experience in that. Um, but the way that we structure it right now, and I think it's probably a good way to structure it if you don't have a background in film, is have somebody that's in charge of it. That's essentially the producer. Have somebody that's essentially the director. In this case, that's myself. I occupy both roles, and then have somebody that is actually creating and editing the film. The way that we've been able to afford it is I have a friend from college who always did this on the side and has a few clients, some big clients that he does this for on the side, but his day job is like in real estate or something, and I don't even know. And so we've been able to keep our costs relatively low. A little side note on that, actually. That we've seen a few Kickstarter campaigns. People come to us for Kickstarter help every now and again, and a lot of the prices that we hear on videos is pretty high. So just to give you kind of like a little bit of a gut check, I hear people saying, "Oh yeah, we've got a guy who's going to make a video for us, $10,000, $15,000, $12,000," and we think that's pretty fair. That is absolutely horse crap. You should be able to make a good video for under $3,000 for your first campaign. If you can't, then you're not talking to the right people. The thing that really motivates the video is the story, and everything builds off of that. Now, I think, to be clear, you should be emulating good campaigns for the video. So what we do is we have a database of every campaign that we find that has something in the video that we like. We categorize it, and we say we like this because of its cinematography, we like this because of its music, we like this because of its story, and that gives us a good frame of reference for anybody that's doing our filming and our editing. We can say, match this, and then that's a really good way for you to, before you sign any documents or pay anyone, for you to vet potential videographers or editors, because you can say, okay, show me some of your work that resembles this, or show me that you can do this, and then there's no question that you're going to come out with a good video. So I'll go on to the next question. All right, I think we're, oh wow. Let's do this one. So this is from Matthew Wilk, and he says, let's say it costs you $5 to produce your product. Where would you set your margins for selling 1 on Kickstarter, or 3? Also, could you share some scripts you sent to blogs, magazines to get them to promote your product campaign? Cool. So for the first question, setting the best rule of thumb for retail pricing is 4 or 5 times whatever it costs to make. What that enables you to do is to sell not only directly with like an 80% margin, but also to sell through retail channels if you need to. So if you need to have a distributor or up to 2 middlemen, you can actually still make it work and have close to a 2x margin yourself. And that's kind of just like a standard rule of thumb. It probably depends on what the product is, whether it's a fast-moving product or a slow-moving product, in order to make sense at scale. But in general, we try and target a 5x margin to make sure that we're going to be able to sell anywhere and everywhere. I think the second part of that question was, can we share scripts for reaching out to press? You're sneaky. You put 2 questions together. If you want to just email me directly, my email is tivan@fortifiedbike.com. I'm happy to share some insights with you, but I won't divulge all of our secret sauce to everybody. Only to the people willing to work for it. So let me go to the next question here. all right, we got a couple fours. So we'll mix this up a little bit because I like Ninja King is asking just about what teenagers should do to get a leg up in entrepreneurship. Um, so I think that so I'll just give a quick little background on my story. I think that's probably the best way to explain my thoughts on it. So the way that I got into entrepreneurship was not direct at all. I was working for a large fashion retailer doing product management, and I had a friend who started a company, and he was like, "I think you'd be great at the sales and marketing for this company. Will you join?" And he said, "I've got $30,000 or $40,000 to we've raised a little money, so I can pay you like thirty or $40,000 a year, and you can leave this boring job." And I said, "You know what? That's it's not that risky. The worst thing that can I mean, I can cover my costs, my expenses. The worst thing that can happen is like at the end of it, I'll end up with very little money, but a good experience." And that's exactly what happened after 10 months. But you can't really quantify how valuable that experience is. And it's really a form of capital. So after that experience, I was ready for the next one. And that was kind of when my business partner and I started talking bike lights. And I think at that point I had enough experience to know the big things not to do, what not to spend money on, and I still sure as hell didn't know everything, but I had enough confidence to get to the next step. So I think to kind of summarize that, the number one thing in entrepreneurship that you can do to start building a foundation is to actually do something, and that's like there are a lot of people who don't. When I say that, don't necessarily get it the first time I say it. So I'll say it again: do something. If you have an idea, take a step today to do it. Um, there are millions of ways to test a concept. Depending on what your business is, you could probably go to Craigslist and just post whatever the idea is and say, "I want to do this for you." And you'll start getting people emailing you, and then you can kind of start crafting a product after that. Um, so start it, run some tests. Don't spend any money until people are trying to pay you money for it. Yeah, and then report back to me, Ninja. Uh, okay, so we got a really popular one here from Astason. Uh, do you have any IPR projection on your products? If you want to, I don't know. I actually don't know what that means. I'm sorry. If you want to type it again or tell me what that is, I'm happy to answer it. Um, from Juheba, how much time was it between your campaign and delivery of the products? What do you think is the limit for people before they get irritated? That's a really, really good question. And we just had an experience with it. So this product right here, it took us how long? 1.5 years to make. We told people that it was going to take 6 months. So we were 1 year late with this product. And if you take a look at our comments on Kickstarter, and soon if you take a look at our Amazon reviews, this was a wild success. Everyone is so happy. And what we learned is that, and the first product, by the way, was about maybe 4 months late. People have a very, very short memory for things like this. Now, I think it probably relates to the importance of the product in their daily lives. So, yes, bike lights are important, but it's not people's like food or source of sustenance. It's not a car that they need to use to get around the city. So at the end of the day, people aren't feeling that pain every single day. So as long as you communicate with customers, I think there probably is a maximum amount of time. Like I don't think we could have gone much longer than a year late. I certainly think 2 years late. We probably would have had people up in arms. But I do think that if you're making a good quality product and you eventually do deliver that product, people are very, very forgiving, especially early adopters who are signing up to get this thing because it is solving a huge pain for them. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Was there a second part of that? Yeah, people get irritated. Like even just to answer, to give you like an example, people get irritated um, within within a month. If you don't miss a date, you will always get people. You'll always get haters. You always get people who are mad. Um, but it's important to think of that in the context of how many people you're serving. For our last campaign, we had um, I think 14 or 1500 backers. And every couple of days we might have somebody who was distressed enough to post it publicly. But if you think of that as a percentage of the number of people that were just patiently waiting and listening to our stories of traveling to China 4 times and like all the blood, sweat, and tears that were going into making this product, it's like it's so small that you realize that most people really have your back until the end. So let's see here. This is a really good question that I saw before we started, and I should admit that I don't think I have a good answer to this, but I'd love to try and answer it. And then if you want to email me your thoughts, I'm happy to talk about it. So this is from Oyvind Helens. He says, hardware products seem to have an advantage over software when it comes to Kickstarter campaigns. My hunch is that this is mostly due to the fact that it's harder to make appealing promotion videos for software. What are your thoughts on this? So I don't know. I actually don't know what the difference is in terms of making software more appealing than hardware. I certainly see software videos that appeal to me, especially as like as a business owner. Like I geek out on software that's going to make my life easier. Accounting software or marketing software. So I don't necessarily know how true that is. What I do know is that from a market standpoint, hardware products are harder to make in general. So and less people are doing it. So I think that there is more pent up demand for these types of products. So if you launch them on a platform, and if you launch something that is the world's first, X widget on this platform, you're probably going to get more positive feedback than you would with a software product that might be a small variation on something that already exists. So that's my best answer to that, but it could be completely wrong. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Interesting here. So, oh, okay. So let's answer Ninja King again. They've got a good question. So they say, what is the most popular reward? So I'll give you guys an idea between all of these. So for this product right now, it's the $25, if you go to our page, the $25 kit that guarantees that your seat post will never be stolen or we replace it. That comes with this and the saddle bolt that protects the seat itself. And it's pretty much our best value price. For these, it was, believe it or not, so for this one, it was like the best value. For these, it was actually the most expensive package, was the most popular. So the Boost Bright version, and like everything included. Now, when we're trying to figure out why that is, I don't know that I have a perfect answer for that. But one thing that the experience has taught us is that varying your SKUs, varying your different product offerings and packagings is really, really important, because you never exactly know what's going to work and what's not going to work. So make sure that you have something for everybody in your offerings, and listen to customers who are asking you for certain offerings. And I hope the video is still working. Let me make sure that it is. I think I've got about 10 more minutes or so, maybe 12 more minutes. Just asking the tech guy if it's still working. Thanks, Martin. All right. Everything is awesome, he says. So let's go with. Oh, this is a great question. Indiegogo might kill me for saying this. Uh, so Cookie asks, why did you choose Kickstarter over Indiegogo? So for us, we every single campaign that makes headlines, we've got Google alerts for like every type of campaign that makes headlines, um, and we categorize all of them. And more often than not, it's Kickstarter campaigns, um, and especially in product, in like consumer product, and in specifically in consumer bike products, it's no comparison. So if you search bike on Kickstarter, you will find over 70 campaigns. I just did this a couple weeks ago. You will find about 71 campaigns that have done over $15,000. If you search Indiegogo for bike, you will find I think three. One of them did 5 million, and we're not sure if that's a real product because it seems impossible to hit that price point. It's an electric bike, and there's like another one I think that failed, or maybe two or so that failed. So for us, it's like it's where all of the demand is. It's where all of the transactions are, and it gets more press. So um, it's it's really just a risk assessment exercise for us. And so far, Kickstarter is just miles and miles ahead. And we also, I think, after you run one Kickstarter, you're more likely to run another one because we certainly have that brand loyalty because it's worked for us. We know how it works. Um, Now we probably will be running Indiegogo campaigns, but that's just because we have to put out um, lots of products in a short amount of time, and you can't have multiple Kickstarters running. So we have a strategy around that. But in general, I think Kickstarter is the go-to place for consumer brands, and especially for bike brands. Um, so this one is from uh, Marius Norheim. So the question is, I have a solid team set up building a product that is based on users being social advocates, i.e. user generate content. We've built ourselves into a chicken and egg problem where the content drives users, but the users drive the content. What would you do in this situation? Spend time and money on bringing in users or spending time on content? That's a really good question. Um, it's something we're starting to think about a lot with our content because we we don't we you know we're a products company. We've been a products company for 3 years, and we always will be a products company. But we know the power of content to create a movement. Um, I don't know that I have a good answer to that. I think the startup approved answer uh, would be test both. So set up a test where you're comparing apples to apples as much as possible. So try creating content and generating user engagement, and then try bringing in users and see how they engage with your content. And do those in some way that is as temporally insensitive as possible. So like an A/B test where you can do things at the same time and see what pops more for you. But yeah, email me if you have more questions on that. I love to brainstorm those kinds of things. Um, let's see. Okay. So I think we are pretty much done. Let me see if I have any more questions. Oh, there was one that came in earlier that I'll answer um, by Mike Luongo. Uh, so Mike says, I'm designing a board game and I want to fund it through Kickstarter. How do you decide on how much to set your goal for? Um, so this is a really good question. I think we've recently seen companies do it. Uh, you never notice when a company does it right, right? Because if they smash their goal, then they smash their goal. But it's pretty noticeable when a company does it wrong. Because you never want to be in that. Uh, make sure that I'm still visible. Okay, cool. you never want to fall into that kind of no man's land where you've raised enough to actually start a company and to make the product, but you actually set your goal for something higher. So you might have only needed 50K, but you set your goal for 60K just because you thought you could hit it, and then you don't have any money. So what we do is actually something that has worked for us. I can't say it works for everyone, but I think it is a decent strategy. That's why we use it. We actually set our goal based on the minimum amount that we would do the project for. That doesn't mean that it's going to cover the whole cost of the project. We can get away with that because we've been around for long enough. We have revenue, but in general, set the minimum amount. And sometimes that's comically low. So for this product, it was only $8,000 because we were already pretty much invested in making this product because we know that we're going to sell it in all of our bike shops. They told me that I have to refresh this real quick. Okay, let's see. All right, cool. So yeah, we set our goals. We set our goal really low with this one. But in general, our general strategy, and this is what I advise all entrepreneurs who want to use Kickstarter, is set your goal for the minimum that you're willing to take in to actually get this started, and use that goal, use that low goal as the marketing fuel, the PR fuel to get placements in press. What I mean by that is with this product, we set a goal of $24,000, which was, in retrospect, really, really low. Like if we had only made $24,000 on this, we actually probably would have had to shut down. So it was actually a naive thing for us to do. But on the flip side, it was a risk that ended up paying off because we hit our goal in 15 hours. And that simple fact alone propelled the campaign and got it in placements in not only bike magazines, but business magazines that said business success, Kickstarter success. So it's really, really important to understand how that works. Most people aren't going to write about you if you're just steadily inching towards your goal. But if you smash your goal right away, they will write about you. So those are the variables to keep in mind. What is your minimum amount that you're willing to take and still continue with the project, and what is the amount that you'll be able to get to relatively quickly and use to propel the PR engine. So I'm going to do 3 more questions, and then any other questions you have, you can email me. So I don't understand that question, Luigi. Sorry. So here was a good question from Martellini. It says, let me make sure everything's still working. Okay, great. So from Martellini, the question is, when running such a campaign and the raised amount far exceeds the initial pledged amount, how do funders allocate the funds? So I can't speak for everyone, but I think that if you're running a business, you allocate it to the things that the business most needs. So for us, for our last campaign, for every extra dollar that we had, we allocated towards our biggest pains at the time, which were the fact that my business partner and I were a 2-man team, and we needed people to actually run the business. So we hired 2 people off of that Kickstarter campaign. And I think I think that no matter what, I mean, any entrepreneur just has a list of priorities, and if there are priorities that money can solve, then that's what you use the money for. So, okay. So I forget. So one of the Talking Next founders asked a question early on. She says, did Kickstarters become part of your market strategy before or after the first successful campaign? So definitely after, because it was a test that went well, and even directly after, it wasn't necessarily sure. We weren't sure that we were going to use it again. But looking at looking at our balance sheet and looking at like our projections, I mean, there's no way to generate that many sales early on, other than running a crowdfunding campaign. So that's why we've integrated it into our product launch strategy, um, kind of permanently for now. Um, so let's do one more. If anyone has any last minute ones, maybe I'll do one more if there's anything that I haven't answered. Um, I think we got through almost every single one of them. Wow, that's a lot of talking. Um, okay. Well, if you guys have any more questions, I'm always happy to answer them and hear what you're working on. You can email me at tivan@fortifiedbike.com. Also, if you want to uh, buy our lights, or pre-order some of our new lights, you can go to fortifiedbike.com and email me if you want a special entrepreneurial discount. Um, and then I'm supposed to also say, first off, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Fortified Bike, and we'll kind of show you. We like to give kind of behind the scenes stuff on all the Kickstarter stuff we do. So if you are going to be launching a campaign, you can use us as a reference. And the last thing I'm supposed to say is, if you want to talk on Talking Next, or if you know anyone who would be good on here, they're going to place something in the comment section right here that will allow you to reach out to them. So thanks a lot. I hope to see you guys soon on Kickstarter, or in my email. All right, talk soon. Bye.